even start to speak, I want to give thanks. I want to give major, major thanks because I know I am protected. I am gifted, and so are you. And I want to give thanks for receiving new knowledge and being able to internalize it and being able to share the knowledge and light that I receive with others. So that sounds really spiritual, goo goo gaga. And I've actually been trying to ground myself so that I could share the last week with you in a way that you could understand that doesn't sound too crazy. Because of course, when we're confronted with something that we don't understand, that's outside of our paradigm, we just go and say it's crazy. Instead of saying maybe the way we're acting is crazy or limited. So I'm just going to give thanks for being here. I know that I'm okay and I'll always be okay. And I have so much support and love in my life. And I hope that I can share that with others. And I hope that you can share this conversation with others and take it to make a better world. Sorry, who's ever saying hi, say hi back. It's hard for me to see. And I also have some notes so that I can really share what's been going on. So in the last week, I've just had a really big spiritual epiphany. And it just goes to internalizing knowledge and beliefs that I've had. So I just want to talk to you about the difference between knowing something in your mind and then knowing something where it rocks and affects your belief system. So, and please jump in with questions because I probably will sound a little nuts because I have been going through something that has shattered my world system. So, for instance, let's say that you believe that your highest value is peace, okay? Easy. My highest value is peace. Now, you might think that, right? Probably many of us think that peace or love or something is our highest value. But if our actions aren't going in that direction, if we are involved in violence, if we are create violence or build violence around us, then that's actually not our highest value, right? Because really whatever your internal highest value is the way that your life is going to act out. Now that doesn't mean that you don't want peace to be your highest value or that it isn't an ideal for you. But if it's not showing up in your physical manifested life, then it hasn't dropped down into a deep belief system. And that's okay. It's just something to note about yourself. So as you look at this past year, as we come to the end of this year and you look at what do I want my new year to show in front of me, I want to really suggest that you write down, because when we think about things, it's not the same as when we really write it down and be honest with ourselves about where am I putting my time? What are the things I'm seeing manifest around me? And how do those speak for what my real internal belief systems are and values versus what I wish they would be, right? Versus the being that I would like to be, the kind of person that I look up to, admire, and respect. And where there's disalignment there, sit with that. You know, if your life isn't producing peace around you, maybe there are some questions that you have to ask about your belief in peace. And that's okay. You know, maybe you need to look at, okay, has violence worked for me in the past? And if so, was it long-lasting or short-lived? And use the 8 limbs of yoga, which we are going to talk about, which I have been speaking about for 2.5 years in essays and blogs about using the 8 limbs of yoga, but using truthfulness with yourself and using self-study and using sitting with yourself to really analyze what your true belief systems are, and then to see if you can get to some of that subconscious level to make change, because change doesn't happen up here by telling yourself. It only happens by reprogramming our internal belief system, and that only happens when we go into a subconscious state, a meditative state. So that's why others can help you to talk you through that, or you can bring yourself into that. But by yelling at yourself or setting some New Year's resolution in your mind, it is not going to change you. You will only change when your internal deep-rooted belief systems shift. And sometimes that happens through our own helping ourselves, collaging and dreaming and feeling the feelings of being in a new belief system. And sometimes your life just gets shattered and it changes your belief system. And for me in the last week, actually a week ago today, that is what really happened. And I wanted to always say that, I'm a teacher and a healer and a believer in peace, and a believer in doing the right thing. But I just saw more deeply through a realization, through an understanding about the other side, about darkness, what real light is and what the darkness in my own self is. And we all have darkness, right? If we were actually believed in our full internal light, you would just turn into internal light. Do you get that? I know that I'm in the wave of light because people always say to me that I'm glowing. They're like, you're glowing, you're glowing. And I know that I'm glowing because I'm vibrating on an energy of light. Everything is energy. Darkness has a heavy energy, and light has a different frequency. Actually, everything is frequency and wavelengths and light. So as you vibrate differently, like your skin looks differently and the energy around you is differently. All the darkness, so these are a couple of things that I've been moved to share with you. All the darkness that you see in the external world is a manifestation of internal world. Okay, I'll say that again. Everything that you see darkness in the external world, it's not that you're imagining it. It is there, because that's the thing that they always teach us, that, you're just, if you focus on the light, you'll only see the light and there's no darkness. No, that's not true. There is darkness. And anything that is out there that's dark is coming from internal fear, misalignment, mainly fear, selfishness, and this real lack of empathy. There's a real lack of empathy in the world right now, and that's also something that I've been really moved to share with you today. Because as a yogi, or practicing yogi, one of the things that I teach, and one of the things that I learn to do, is to separate from my emotions. So I know how to use my observer mind to watch my emotions and not get affected by them, right? And this makes you very, very powerful. And yogis do gain powers. It says it in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, that yogis do gain powers. But it also, everyone says, do not focus on that, because you will not be focusing on the real thing. So the powers are really just a way to show you you're on the right path, and you need to move past them to the light. But along your journey, you pick up these powers, and one of the powers is being able to separate from emotions. And you're like, wow, I don't let my pathetic. And the truth is that our feeling selves are very important. And staying in a place of feeling and working from your intuition and letting your heart lead you when you know something is off. But let me just say this again. Another thing I've been really led to say to you today is that when you know something is off, listen to that, okay? Because something is off. And this is something that, even though I know that, we are easily convinced not to listen to ourselves. And there are reasons for that. There are really deep reasons for that. There are people that do not want you to listen to yourself. And I'm saying that today. I'm saying that there are dark people out there. And I don't want you to take this the wrong way, and a lot of people might get turned off by this, but this is what I'm going to tell you today. There are people that don't want you to listen to to that voice. And they will use your yoga against you and say, gosh, you're not accepting. You're not accepting of all things. Well, you don't have to be accepting of darkness, of greed, of of people that are working selfishly, and you don't have to be accepting of that. In fact, accepting that and, listen to this, hear this, gaining from that, you are complicit in violence. So if you are gaining from structures, if you are gaining from people who are acting in ways which are not righteous, which are not in the light, then you are complicit in that. And I'm talking about if you know that a system is wrong and you're participating in it, that you are a part of it. Now, it's true that fighting war will not get you peace. War on war will not get you peace. But at the same time, just being peaceful, knowing truth without action is a knowing that's up here. So let your knowledge of truth change you, and let your actions come out of that, which means rebelling against systems that aren't, acting right, And where you see that, and where you see that you're complacent in that, it's our job as conscious, light-bearing people to not accept those behaviors and definitely to not gain from them. And, that's the hardest thing. But there's so much other place that you can gain and grow. I also want to talk a little bit about the power of attraction, and attracting abundance into your life and just how it relates to this, because I've been talking a lot for many years about the power of attraction, and I do a lot of workshops on attracting bliss into your life. And just to say again that as we move forward into this new year, I kind of want to tweak even what I'm teaching. And as I learn, I have to change as a teacher and teach higher knowledge. So, which is to say that if you're conjuring an abundance that doesn't include others and that isn't empathetic toward others, then there's something wrong in the way that you're working with your power of attraction. So I just want to encourage all of us to increase the empathy in our lives and to work to help all beings, and not to think that it's all trickle down, because it is true that when you're in a positive space, you can help others. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Just because you're in a blissful space, you can't ignore what is going on in other parts of the world, because that is something that I have definitely done. It doesn't mean to get angry, but it does mean that to realize that anything that's happening in the world, that it can happen to you, and to feel for people and to use your blessings to reach other people and to help people. And I'll say again, in reference to what's going on in different parts of the world, that what you're seeing manifested in the outside, in war and in violence, is a manifestation of a misunderstanding inside, okay? A misunderstanding inside and a darkness in people that they don't understand the way that the world could be. And so you have to be an agent of change, and that comes from deepening your understanding of the way that the world could be and acting in that way. And I'm sorry if I'm not making sense, but listen to this video a couple times and let it go inside, and what you're ready to receive, you will receive, because believe me, I've been working with yoga philosophy for many, many years, and even I am still shattered when I get different knowledge that goes deeper. And believe me, this whole week I couldn't even really function or work. I couldn't even function or work. So, just gonna block people that are not in my space. I want to just speak very briefly about the 8 limbs of yoga, because I've been talking about them for about 2.5 years, and I really want to encourage you to please read over the essays. They're at adventuresinyogaland.blogspot.com and now at landlaraland.com, adventuresinyogaland.blogspot.com, and landlaraland.com. And I just want to condensed them as a theme for guidelines for how to judge your action in the coming year. So the first one is peacefulness. And we want to be peaceful towards ourselves and towards others. Truthfulness. And that means, like I said, I'm really condensing these down. I have longer essays. Truthfulness, when your thoughts, your words, and your actions are in alignment. I really want you to think about those things coming together as far as truthfulness. Non-stealing. And that means also ideas, intellectual property, and that means also not taking gifts or rewards that don't belong to you or that come to you in the wrong way. We all have been given that gift that we know is not a free gift. So I want you to be really, really aware of that. Not grabbing at things, not coveting, knowing that you're enough. Oh gosh, let me go to my notes here. Thank you. Watching your energy, especially your sexual energy. No one wants to talk about this. Okay, but where you put your sexual energy is basically your most powerful energy. Your sexual energy is your creative energy. And using it incorrectly, using it on people to hold people, using it for power, this is very, very dangerous. I want you to watch yourself in the ways that you might be doing this and watch others that are trying to do this toward you, to hypnotize you. Also, contentment. Just being accepting, can't change without accepting. Cleanliness of thoughts and action and words and what you put into your body, because that's going to affect so much of how you see things. I also want to talk about discipline. So having a heat and intensity and a discipline in your life, a fire inside of you. Self-study. Looking at the universal texts, universal truths, and looking at yourself in quiet moments. And surrender. Surrender, letting go. At the end of the day, just trust. Trust that you are where you're supposed to be and you're receiving what you're supposed to be receiving. These are the first two limbs. They have many parts. I'm going to, point you again towards my essays on them at adventuresinyogaland.blogspot.com, and encourage you to join in the conversation. I'm also at Lara Land on Twitter. This isn't a one-way conversation. I have been talking a lot this time, but I really had a lot to say. I don't think I've said everything that I've learned, but I think I've said enough for today. I hope you'll, again, listen to this a couple times. If anyone has any quick questions or thoughts before I go off and post this and go back to thinking about what I've said, I will try to answer. Mainly, I've just been trying to share some knowledge that has come to me in the last week in a very, very strong and powerful way. And it is a very, you can rewatch this video for 24 hours, so if you just joined, that's fine. It is a very fruitful time. I always say you can change any day. You can change in any second. Lasting change does mean making habits change, but you never have to wait for a new year to change, ever, ever, ever. You can literally have a change in a second, and that is what happened to me. Personally, I'm still growing and I'm still learning, and I had a change in a second. And sometimes when that happens, it's a little bit shaky, which it has been, which if any of my students are watching, that's why you haven't seen me at the yoga studio for a week. But I'm doing better now. I think if this is an expression of the fact that I'm doing well, is that I'm ready to share my information with others. So thank you for listening, and I love you. I love you. You are light. You are infinite light. You are protected. You are whole. You are healed. You are good. You know the truth inside of you. You do not have to be anyone but the true, real God, light essence that you are. Don't get distracted. Stay on point. Don't let others convince you that the truth you know is wrong. Be good to others. Be empathetic. Everyone increase your empathy for 2016. That's my message. Care. Care, care, care. Care for others. Okay, I'll leave you with that. I love you. Bye-bye.